Hey guys, the new Moralis SDK is out. Check this out. Let's say you want to get NFTs of a particular user. How do you do that? Well, you do let NFTs equal to await Moralis.Web3API.account.get NFTs, and here you can specify which chain you want the NFTs on, which chain you want to check. In this case, I want to check the Kovan blockchain, and if I now print NFTs, you see I have one NFT because this address that I've used in order to log into this account has one NFTs. And you may be saying, but this is already a feature that we had previously in the previous API. And you are correct. This kind of thing, getting the NFTs, we already had previously. But look here, Moralis.Web3 API is a beast. It's a beast, okay? Because if you look at all the features in the account, you see it's a lot, and you really have to experiment for yourself. I won't explain each and every function here, but everything that has to do with NFTs or tokens or transfers for a user, you can do here. If you go to Moralis.Web3.token, Web3API.token, you get all of these features. For example, get the owners of a particular NFC token, get metadata, get allowance, and you can do it through these very simple JavaScript functions. I mean, how amazing is this? Normally, it's a hell to do these kinds of things. And we also have resolve, which means that you can resolve an unstoppable domain. If you want to do that, you can use this. If you've used our API previously, you see it's very similar because it is the same kind of functions. As you can see, we have native, account, token, resolve, all of these different categories here in our API. And now each API function has, each API endpoint has a dedicated function in the SDK, and you can access all of them by going to Web3 API, and then you choose. If you choose, for example, token, you see that all of these functions, get all IDs, get ERC metadata, this and that, I mean, all of them, they are matching what we have in the API when it comes to token. Metadata, symbols, price, allowance, all of this is here as well. Here's, for example, price, metadata, allowance, all of it is here. So whatever feature we have in the API that you can access through HTTP as a REST API, we now also have as a function in JavaScript. And it's so beautiful because nobody has time to do an HTTP call. We don't have time for that. We just want to call it like this. This is how development should be done. And you see something interesting. All features that are here in account that require an address, they actually don't need an address if the user is logged in. As you can see, I'm logged in right now. If I go and I print Moralis.user.current, let's see, I need to await. Oh, no, it's a function. As you can see, I'm logged in right now because we do have a current user. And this means that I can get all my Kovan NFTs by writing like so. I just specified the chain that I wanted on Kovan. And all NFTs will be fetched automatically because Moralis knows that I'm the logged in user. So Moralis just gives the address of the logged in user to the Moralis backend. And you don't have to worry about that. If you don't specify any chain, you could also do something like this. For example, you can say NFTs, just get NFTs, but in this case, I don't have any NFTs because if you don't specify the chain and you don't specify the address, what Moralis will do is that it will pick the logged in user and it will pick ETH mainnet as the default chain. So the beauty of Moralis functions and Moralis Web3 API feature of the SDK is that it really fills in a lot of things where you don't need to worry. But to specify specific chain, even like in the previous version of the API we had, you can do it like this. You specify the chain. And of course, you can also specify the address. I found this guy on OpenSea. I can copy the address. And if I go back to my console here, I can say address like this. I can also specify the chain. I mean, if I want to check that the NFTs of that address on Koban, on ETH, on Matic, I can do that. But in this case, I just want ETH. And for that, I don't have to specify anything. And as you can see here, he has 10 NFTs on ETH. I will get the same response if I choose chain ETH. As you can see, it's the same response. So this is how easy it is. And please remember what we just discussed. And the most important thing here is that all features that are in account, all of these features, they don't require an address. They fill in the address of the logged in user if you just want the logged in user. And if you want some other address, you can specify the address. And the same is with chain, like we discussed. If you don't specify any chain, it will be ETH. And if you specify the chain, it will be that chain. And all different chains you can specify, you can find them in the documentation. If you go to transaction balances, you go to intro, you see all of them right here, the different chains and how to call them. So you can either say ETH or Rinkibu or Girly, or you can also specify the hex value, either or. So why did we decide to change? Because you remember that we do have still Moralis.Web3.get NFTs, for example. But instead of doing this, now we're moving this functionality to Moralis.Web3API .account.get NFTs. So it might sound counterintuitive because this is shorter. However, we want a clarity. Between the SDK, the JavaScript SDK, and the API. We want them to have the same layout. I mean, that's number one, that people really see. And developers really understand that whatever we have here in the API, it's exactly the same layout in the SDK. So that's why we have this, .account, .native, and so on and so forth. So when we change something here, let's say we add more functionality, we add more features to the API, then everyone is on the same page how to find that in the SDK. That's number one. Number two is that we have a bit of a naming situation here because we have Moralis.Web3. Still we have it, but this is gonna change soon. But to be backwards compatible, we'll still have it. But we also have Moralis.Web3. I mean, this is not not ideal because Moralis.Web3, I mean, this is the web3.js instance. So here's where you call smart contracts, and here's where you interact with the chain, basically. Interact with chain. But then we have Moralis.Web3 with capital W, and here is where it's all of these Moralis functions. And still, there are many Moralis functions that are important in Web3. For example, Moralis.Web3.authenticate. I mean, to log in is very important. Or link account or unlink accounts. I mean, this user management functions. And so they very soon, for example, authenticate. This soon is gonna move to Moralis.Authenticate. But we're taking one step at a time. And for example, very soon, Moralis.Web3.link, for example, to link two addresses into the same account. Soon we're gonna move it to Moralis.link because we want to remove this capital Web3 because we just want to have .web3, which is the web3.js. So this is a step in that process to eradicate .web3. And so as of right now, we've not removed anything from .capital Web3. We've just moved some essential parts to .Web3API. And of course, you should be using .Web3API because you should know that soon Moralis.Web3 is gonna disappear, probably within next month or so. And all of the features in Moralis.Web3 gonna be moved to Moralis. And some of them are already moved to Web3API, like for example, get NFTs, get ERC20s. So to summarize, use as much as possible Web3API. But now you know also a bit of the reasoning behind the change, and now you also know the future of how this API is gonna change ahead. So guys, go join Discord if you have any questions. Hope to answer them, hope to clear everything up, and I hope you understand how we're thinking. Have a good day and see you all very, very soon.